It's 7:34 right now. Federal, state, and local agencies all working now to piece together evidence in this shooting.
Security expert Sal Lifrieri was on the air with us last night as we watched the massive police response to that scene. He joins us again this morning with the latest on the investigation. What steps need to be taken to secure office buildings all around the city? I mean, that is not an isolated building, right, Sal? When you look at kind of the totality of New York City, this concrete jungle, and how these buildings look and feel when you walk into a lobby. You're a former NYPD detective. You know that investigators spent all night collecting evidence, trying to figure out the motive, which we're now finding out, it seems, had something to do with the NFL, had something to do with CTE. What else can you tell us this morning?
Well, with regards to the motive behind it, it appears that this was that he had a gripe apparently with the NFL. It's been reported that he had a suicide note in his pocket. We don't know the particular contents of that, but you know, these type of situations occur over a period of time. You know, someone just doesn't naturally snap. And I'm sure the investigation is going to indicate that there was communications with the NFL, and there were potential indicators of violence, which is one of the things that we have a program called our TAG program, where we actually talk to commercial real estate properties and talk about the potential of having threats that start off slow. And the sooner you can get in front of them, the better off you are, and you can intercept something like this occurring.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's trying to figure out why, right? So, of course, you start from home. He's not from here. He is from Las Vegas. Do you know if the NYPD detectives are already there in Vegas, where 27-year-old Shane Tamura lived? And what exactly are they going to be looking for once they get there?
Well, I think one of the things that you want to see is, you know, where did this all start from, right? Again, this just doesn't happen as a pop.
Yeah.
What they'll be looking for is, was there any social media posts? Were there any things that he was talking to friends and family about? Was there changes in personality over a period of time? Things along those lines. What was the communication that he may have had with the NFL, and what indicators might there have been?
Yeah, we're going to talk to Mayor Eric Adams in about 10 minutes about some of those things you're talking about here. But let's talk about the actual event and the building, right? 345 Park Avenue, which is a 44-story building. Thousands of people work there. So when you have a crime scene of this magnitude and an active shooter, how does the NYPD conduct a search for a gunman in one of these high-rise offices when you kind of look at it from the outside perspective?
It's a very difficult situation, right? I mean, it's very intensive. You know, when you look at what happened yesterday, you have an officer who's in the lobby in uniform who shot. As the adrenaline is pumping, and so it's very difficult for the responding officers. The policy and protocol within the department has been, for the longest time, when you react to an active shooter, you go to where the shooting is to minimize the amount of potential victims. So the officers have to respond. So there's a lot of coordination that's going on. Basically, you're locking down the building because you don't know who the shooters are, if there's one or if there's multiple.
Or where.
If there are people that are coming behind you. So you take control of the entrance and the exits. You make sure everybody stays in because you don't want the perp to be able to walk out of the building. And then you start a slow, methodical search once you get to the person who was committing the shooting. Once you neutralize that, then you start going through the building to look for any potential other cases or other situations that the shooter may have done. We've seen in prior cases where the use of explosives were laid down. So you have to go through that, and then you have to be able to get the people out of the building who were on lockdown. And there's a communication issue, right? They're become concerned with you in that they're not sure they're behind the locked door. They don't know if it's the gunman saying they're the police or if it's the actual police. So that normally takes a little bit of time to get people out. And then ultimately, they are witnesses potentially to the situation, and they need to be interviewed and they need to be identified. So it turns into a very slow, methodical process that takes hours sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of us, I mean, most of us have seen that photo of the suspect walking into the building. It's not like he was hiding the weapon. It was out there for everyone to notice, yet he was able to walk into the building, nobody stopping him before that. So do you know what the distance is then between the suspect's double parked car and the lobby of 345 Park? Because everyone's wondering, like, how was he able to walk with a rifle without being detected?
That question was posed last night on air, and we were talking about it. And, a couple of years ago, I actually did a segment on PIX where there was a shooting by the Empire State Building, and there was a witness who literally walked through the shooting and saw people running and never paid attention to it. And when she was asked, why didn't you pay attention? She said, well, it's New York. I figured it was a celebrity, and that's why people were running. And she literally walked through a shootout.
Wow.
So the problem that you have today is that we are just not situationally aware, and people find themselves in these situations where sometimes you can't avoid it, but sometimes you can avoid it, and you just have to be aware of what's going on around you.
Yeah, and the gunman was able to walk into that building, open fire, and then get on the elevator and get up to the 33rd floor. Did it happen too quickly, or is there going to be this look at how office buildings are secured and whether or not there could be a way to cut off elevators to prevent somebody from going up if they shouldn't be going up?
So the clients that we have in the commercial real estate industry, the things that we've been working on is getting the elevator recall button, similar to what happens in a fire emergency. Fire alarm systems automatically bring the elevators down and make them incapable of being used. So we've put those systems in place. We're looking at new and emerging technologies with respect to putting analytics on the video systems that can identify someone walking in with a gun. The problem is we cannot rely totally on video capability because as it stands today, it's more for an evidentiary purpose than it is to be able to prevent this situation from occurring.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, this particular building, the management of 345, they're going to take a look at their security, probably change a lot of things. But how often do you feel that buildings should run like these security drills and maybe update their safety procedures?
Well, there's in New York City, you have the emergency action plan that commercial properties are responsible for. And there is mention and planning for active shooter cases. I think with the commercial properties, and is one of the things we're working on this morning, and I'm actually going to attend a meeting later this afternoon on this, is what's the communications between the property office, the leadership of the company, and the lobby. These situations happen within 5 to 10 minutes from the start to the finish. So there's a very short period of time. And how do you provide those capabilities to be able to react and respond? And it's something that needs to be worked on. One of the other things that we do is we sort of have, we call them building familiarization drills with local law enforcement, where you allow the K-9 teams, the emergency service teams to come in and become familiar with the building so that it's not the first time the officers are walking into a building. They have some familiarity with it, how things work, and what capabilities you have to be able to provide some countermeasures for this.
Just an awful story altogether. Sal, thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us this morning. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And stay with PIX11 throughout the morning as we continue to bring you live team coverage of this. In just moments away, everybody, we're going to have Mayor Eric Adams right here discussing the very latest on the investigation.